I'm investigating how the power factor changes as an LED bulb is dimmed. So what I have here in front of us is a Utilitech 60 watt equivalent LED bulb. On the packaging it's rated at 13 watts. On my kilowatt I'm showing about 11 watts at the moment. I assume that's just kind of a measurement error with the kilowatt. Or potentially the dimmer maybe is not maxing the bulb out, but I don't think that's true. Anyway, we're showing 11 watts, and if I switch over to power factor mode, the current power factor is 0.59 with the bulb at full intensity. So as I dim the bulb, the power factor is going to start to go down. Okay, there's 0.3, 0.29. The lowest it normally goes is about 0.25, maybe a little bit lower. It'll start to bounce around as I approach the minimum brightness of the lamp. Okay, so it's about roughly 0.25. Trying to go dimmer. There's about 0.2, 0.15 or so. At the lower end it really bounces around a lot. Okay. So the power factor is hovering around 0.2 on the low end, and if I come back to watts, you can see it's showing essentially 0 watts, 0.01 amps. Okay, so not a whole lot of power is being drawn. I can start to kick it up, and we'll get eventually to 1 watt or so. Okay, I'm going to go full brightness again. Now what I want to show is volt amps. So this takes into account the power factor. So right now the bulb is full brightness. If you remember right, the power factor was about 0.6. So the apparent power of this bulb is 19 volt amps right now. So if you have a smart meter hooked up to your house, you'd be charged at 19 volt amps, which is going to be more expensive than the labeling of 13 watts on the bulb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the bulb down, and what you'll see is the bulb is currently operating at 19 volt amps, but turn it down, it's going to get dimmer, but the apparent power is actually going to start to go up. Okay, so I'm just going to start dimming it. Okay, it's starting to spike. So about 0.21, 0.23. I'm easing it down. So what we're finding here is the bulb is putting out less light. I know the camera's not really showing it that well, but I can tell visually that it's actually getting quite a bit dimmer, but it's using more power. Okay, so 0.23, I'm continuing to dim it, and it should start decreasing here shortly. Okay, so there it's back to 0.19, kind of bouncing around. Okay, now it's going to be going down. Okay, so the wattage is decreasing as the power factor decreases, but the overall effect is that the volt amps are going down. Okay, so the moral of this story is, with this particular bulb, the apparent power is actually less at full brightness than it is slightly dimmed. Okay, and if you dim it even further, the apparent power goes back to full brightness. So right now, the volt amps are the same as full brightness, but visually the bulb is probably only about, I would say, a quarter of the lumens that it can output. Okay, so that's quite interesting. What I'm going to do now is swap out this bulb for a different bulb. Real quickly, it's going to get dark. Okay, let's see if I can do this in the dark. Alright, well, it's hot. Okay, so this bulb is the EcoSmart 60 watt equivalent bulb that you can find at the Home Depot. I'm on full brightness, and its volt amps are a lot lower actually. Let's see what the power factor is. Okay, so look at this. This bulb's power factor is almost 0.9, which means this one is a whole lot more efficient. If you come to watts, it's drawing the same amount of watts, 11 watts, as the other bulb, but the power factor is so much higher that it is showing considerably less volt amps. So I'm going to go back to power factor mode and start dimming it and see what happens. Okay, right away the power factor is actually going down, which is to be expected. Okay, I'm dimming it. Let me put this other bulb back in so we can get some extra light. Okay, so dim it, and we'll see about where it cuts off. So the other one was around 0.2. This one is going about the same, 0.2. Okay, so it's below 0.2. 0.17 is probably averaging about 0.15. And now it's off. Okay,